Yeah, the reason why we're having this live stream today is going to be all about Oracle's Q4 results. They announced it yesterday. And Oracle's Q4 is the most important quarter for Oracle, and it is really showing how Oracle is performing as a company. So it's very important. It's really the most important event in Oracle's year. So we thought it would be interesting to have a look at the results. So we've had a little bit of time to look them over. And Frederick has prepared a presentation. So we thought that would be good to have a look at those results and actually see what is going to be the impact. How can this impact you as if you are a customer to Oracle? So that was the idea behind it. Right, Frederick? Am I missing something?
Well, I had some more thinking about it. So what also happens is that Oracle financial year starts 1st of June. So as always, there are changes to their go-to-market, and that is highly impacting customers' interactions with Oracle. So we're going to talk about what we've heard from some old friends still at Oracle, sharing some knowledge about how Oracle is set up. And there are some very big changes into how Oracle are compensating their sales reps. And that's going to have a big impact on how you negotiate, how you interact with Oracle in the next year at least. Let's see if they change it or not. Let's start. So I don't know if everybody have had time to look at Oracle's Q4 results. They announced it 2 days ago. And you can see here that cloud services and license support, this is basically just support and maintenance. So this is on-premise licenses support. And that is actually increased by 4% every year. And you can see it's only increased by 1%. So it means that Oracle actually lost more support than they gained, which is kind of strange because last year they also sold the licenses, and that would be also on top of this support compared to last year. But this is quite big that it's actually dropping. And you can also argue that Oracle seems to be becoming more and more of a software maintenance company. They don't seem to sell that much new solutions. Next one is cloud license and on-premise license. So this is basically on-premise licenses bundled with Oracle Cloud Services. So cloud services can be software as a service, PaaS, IaaS, and Cloud at Customer. And they saw a 22% drop. And I've never seen anything like it. Not even during the financial crisis did Oracle have such a huge drop in revenue.
No, it's dramatic.
And then hardware. You can see hardware. I think I haven't looked at it before this presentation, but I've done similar presentations in the past few years. And hardware business has been declining at least for 5 years, every quarter. And I was reading the earnings call from Larry and Safra Katz together with the financial analysts discussing the report. And Larry was saying that they're selling less Spark, which is a hardware server, than they did when they acquired Sun. And then he said, but we don't care, which I think is a kind of a strange attitude to have. But the biggest question is, when are they going to sell this off to someone else, like IBM did with Lenovo? Services, not much to say about it, but it's a big drop. And obviously the question that everybody should be asking themselves, well, is Oracle going to go start doing more audits, which we will talk about today, and share some thinking and our own analysis about that. But also, is there's a good opportunity for companies to actually gain negotiation leverage, knowing that Oracle are performing poorly.
So, Frederick, when I saw these results, one of the first thoughts that came to my mind was that, we've been going through the Corona crisis, and that's mainly Oracle's Q4. It's been in the middle of the Corona crisis. So, I was thinking, is this just going to be a bump on the road? Is this just going to be, Oracle needing to move on past this Corona crisis? What is actually going on here? Is this just going to be a one kind of a thing? What do you think?
Well, when I think about Oracle and the COVID-19, I think about Zoom. It apparently that Zoom didn't buy enough cloud services to recover this gap, right? Or could it be that simply that Oracle is using the Zoom purchase as a marketing hype? It's not the first time Oracle is hyping something up. But I think if you look at Oracle, maybe I think almost back at 10 years back, they've had almost the same revenue for 10 years, and they've acquired some big companies. They acquired a company called Micros, which is a hospitality solution, and they had the revenue of $1 billion. And they also acquired NetSuite, which I think was similar figures. So if Oracle would just have remained the same company, they would have had far less revenue. So I think, yes, COVID-19 had an impact, but I also think that Oracle, they've been struggling for many years to sell anything new, really.
So it's coming into effect now that we're seeing that they're not selling as they have done in the past, and their transformation to cloud is not really covering the loss they're making on the license sales.
Yeah, I think there's a sort of mix of reasons why, but I think so. When I looked at the IBM and the other competitors, software vendors, how they've been doing, so they have a different year reporting. So IBM and SAP they reported in March, which was their Q1. So we have to keep an eye on how are they doing when they're going to report their figures, I guess in July for their second quarter. But I have a suspicion, yes, they've been hit, but not as much as Oracle. But also the peak of the pandemic was in month of May, I think worldwide. And month of May is Oracle's biggest month of the year. So they might have been hit just simply because it's the peak of their decision period. I think that's why the pandemic might have hit Oracle much harder than anyone else.
Yeah, and just to put it into context, that Oracle's basically closing about 40% of their business in Q4 alone. So it's a very important quarter of the year.
Yeah. Let's move on. So what is the likely impact of this? So we have no proof at all. We don't have any source at Oracle telling us they're going to increase the audits, or we do have sources, but they don't know anything yet. It's way too early for this. You have to wait until August to see it, but there's a strong chance that Oracle will increase the audits. At least they're not going to decrease them. And I think the second is that Oracle will focus more on Oracle ULA customers. So they're going to really put an emphasis that you will be renewing your ULA or migrating your ULA into perpetual ULA. So because obviously there's a lot of concern going on at Oracle right now, and we're not covering this today, but we have confirmed that there's been quite a few layoffs of senior sales management and sales reps at Oracle. And there's going to be obviously a very energized Oracle sales organization that will be reaching out to anyone who has have an Oracle ULA customer can expect to have be contacted much earlier than normal.
So, and I might be being a little bit too early in terms of the slides we are going through, but you're going to show later on that there's going to be a restructuring to the Oracle organization. And I was just going through your slides. I was just thinking so if we're going to see an increase, or just basically Oracle maintaining the same level of audits, how are they going to handle that if they're going to have a restructuring of the organization? How are they? Because someone needs to drive these audits, someone needs to handle it. I think that's it's going to be interesting. Are we going to see an increase in partner audits, something like that, perhaps? What do you think?
I don't know the answer to that, Morten. So it's still too early. So it's there's many sort of questions to it, because I think Oracle actually made the decision, 1 year ago to do less audits.
Yeah.
At least do less audits at big companies, because the larger enterprises that we're talking to, they are not being audited in the same way. But there's far more audits at smaller companies. And what is a smaller company? If you're paying, let's say, less than $2 to $5 million a year in support revenue, Oracle would classify you as a small customer. Then you're more likely to be audited. But if you're like a large enterprise with more than $5 million in support annual spend with Oracle, you're less likely to be audited. And also, Oracle would probably want you to commit to multiple support renewal years to lock in and secure maintenance. So what they might be offering you is quite of a classic strategy, is that your support will increase by 4% year on year per the Oracle support policies. What they're going to offer you is say, please commit to renewing all 3 years, and we're going to have a 0 increase. So that's probably something that you will come across. Before we move on, let me see. There's quite a few questions. There's a question here. So there's what about investing more OCI consumptions to mitigate the risk? So we're going to talk about that a bit later today. It's about the clouded customer. It could be a very good way for customers to actually reduce their Oracle spend. So we're going to talk about what are the changes that have been made to Oracle's go-to-market or the sales organization. But to understand that, I just want to talk just briefly how it's been used to be. Oracle's been having an old sales model that's been having more or less the same for 10 years. So this is an example. So we are using technology organization, and that is the sales organization that is responsible for selling databases, middleware, business intelligence, data integration products. There are probably a few more products, but I'm not going to mention them. Imagine that you have 100 sales reps responsible for selling that. Usually they had a sales target, and it could be anything from 2 million to 5 million annually. And they were only compensated on new license sales or cloud sales. So there was sort of a mix of, they were compensated on both licenses and cloud sales. And it was an easy transaction model for Oracle. They could, if they sold something for $1 million licenses, the sales rep know exactly how much percentage they have in commission on that deal. And it often was, for example, 1% of contract value. But if it would be cloud, it could be up to 5 to 10% of contract value. And obviously, I know it's difficult, but if you try to put yourself in the role at Oracle sales reps, if you know you have a product cloud that you're going to get paid 5 or 10% of the contract value, you're obviously going to want to sell that much more than the product that you're paid 1% of the contract value. So what did they do? So both me and Morten used to work at Oracle, and I was thinking about this. Approximately 50% of revenue come from audits or compliance discussions with Oracle. I think it's probably in the low end. It's a conservative figure. What do you think, Morten?
Most sales were to some extent audit or compliance driven. So it was a huge part of what selling is all about in Oracle.
Yeah. And then we have 50%, which is upsell, new product, and ULA renewals. So ULA renewals were often about non-compliance. So Oracle would find that if you have an Oracle ULA and you want to leave your ULA, Oracle do the license review and they found that you're not compliant, then suddenly you have a ULA offer that's going to resolve the non-compliance. So basically, their tactics was that for the past, I think since 2015 at least, whenever you bought any on-premise software, Oracle sort of wanted to discount that as much as possible because they wanted to bundle that with the cloud. Remember the cloud product that they got paid 5 to 10% more. And I think this is quite common that whenever you had a large compliance issue, let's say at the end of an audit, and you had a license gap of $20 million, Oracle would not give you, hey, here's an on-premise solution, which is 15 or $20 million worth of value. No, they're going to give you, hey, we're willing to forgive and forget everything here, and that where you basically just buy cloud services, and we're letting you reconfigure everything so that you're compliant. And then the customer would say, yeah, but I don't need your cloud services. Why? What am I going to use them for? And Oracle would say, hey, there's no requirements to use the cloud. You just need to log in and activate them. And this has sort of been the mantra for 5 years at least. Oracle's had a lot of bad press about this. And it's also the thing where Oracle is actually pushing you to buy cloud, which you simply don't need. It's basically just dead money, right? So what has happened now with the new Oracle? So Oracle have divided up their sales teams. So this is approximate figures based on what we've heard. When it used to be 100 sales reps that were compensated on-premise software, now there's only 25 of those 100 that are compensated on-premise. And those 25 on-premise sales reps that are selling the technology licenses, they are no longer compensated on the cloud services. And then you have the other 75 are only compensated on cloud services and only when they consume the cloud services. So if you think back what we just talked about on the previous slide, which was where Oracle wanted to resolve audits, if you just simply bought your cloud services, or you can higher discount on-premise if you buy cloud services, and Oracle simply didn't care if you use their cloud services or not. So this is a big change, because what this will mean for you is that Oracle, if you're found non-compliant at the end of an audit, Oracle will no longer offer you any cloud services to resolve that. You will be expected to pay or purchase on-premise licenses, because it will be this team here with 25 in this example, and they are only compensated for on-premise, and they are in charge of the license audit. The 75 here are not involved in the license audit at all. And they also have no interest of you simply buying a cloud service to resolve an audit, because they only get paid when you're consuming the cloud services. It's one thing to sell a cloud services agreement at the end of an audit, where most companies are very unhappy what has just transparent, and basically what they will not be allowed to sell cloud services because the on-premise sales reps need to sell their on-premise licenses. Also, Oracle will no longer. Yeah, sorry, Morten.
Yeah, just a comment. So I think this is very interesting. It clearly shows that Oracle is sort of moving ahead with their transformation to a cloud consumption-based model. So they seem to be really working that in. But it's interesting to see. Okay, so you only have, and mind you, that the install base, the on-prem license install base for Oracle is still very, very large, and you have very few people actually tending to that, and you're going to have audits on that. So, and there's not this opportunity to move to cloud anymore. There's not that incentive anymore. So what's going to happen when you are in an audit situation? What's going to happen then? Are there any easy ways out? Are they going to hurt more? What's going to happen?
Well, I think ultimately you're going to have to pay far more than you used to. Sort of this get out of jail free card that existed for the five years now. Cloud doesn't exist anymore. You will no longer have sales reps saying, buy our services, we don't care if you use it or not.
No.
These 75 here actually have to approach Oracle customers and non-Oracle customers and basically, hey, this is the value you can get from our cloud services. Yeah. So maybe we want to ask people watching, do you think this is going to be a good thing for Oracle customers or a bad thing? Anyone who's viewing, do you think it's good or bad, these changes that we're talking about? So we have never seen any audits for Oracle Cloud at all. Okay, and here's just some speculation. So if you're approaching Oracle and want to buy on-premise software, I think you will probably struggle to even speak to a sales rep at Oracle, because the few people who are still there, I suspect that they might be having such a huge sales targets, and they're only going to spend their time negotiating the audits or negotiating ULAs, for example. You might be pushed to a software reseller. So if you're in the business of being in the channel for software, you might actually get more reselling from being pushed to you, because Oracle does not have the sales teams to create contracts and negotiate every deal. So this is sort of we want to take an optimistic view. Audits have been a commercial tool that Oracle has used for 15 years. It's part of Oracle. If you think about Oracle, probably the next word you're probably going to think is about license audits, and it's such a part of culture and how Oracle have sold their software for so many years. You could almost argue that there's sort of forgot how to actually sell on value proposition. The biggest question is sort of what you talked about earlier, Morten, is that if there are fewer account reps that are compensated on on-premise software, will we see a decline in sort of so-called soft audits driven by the sales teams?
Yeah, no, but I think that's a fair question to ask, and so maybe we should talk about what are soft audits, and maybe they'll change the nature of soft auditing as well as because of these changes.
So there used to be, let's say, the formal audits used to be the LMS team doing them, and they were nominated by the sales teams. But that was not enough for the sales organization. So the sales organization often did, hey, instead of doing a formal review of your licenses, can you please fill in this Excel spreadsheet so we don't have to do a formal audit and we can go over the licenses together. And basically, but as those sales reps are no longer compensated on-premise software, you can argue it might actually decline.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is an optimistic view, and we have someone helping us with our PowerPoints, and she's from Ukraine, and she said in Ukraine a lawnmower is a sign of optimistic. So let's see how it works. So what does Oracle want you to do as an Oracle customer? So Oracle's strategy is not to focus on new or greenfield customers, no matter what they say. Oracle have a huge install base. So many companies around the world are paying money for on-premise software to Oracle. Oracle's strategy is to focus on their existing install base. And it's primarily two tracks. So Oracle applications, they are trying very hard to push to software as a service. And which is basically primarily is EBS, and we can see some traction there actually. For Oracle technology, it will not move to public cloud. It will be to migrate to cloud at customer.
Yeah,
which is
sorry, Frederick. So I think that's an interesting trend, the cloud at customers, and also something we've actually seen with quite a few customers or clients to us that's been talking about this as a potential way they want to go.
Yeah, and maybe we wanted to give some background to the cloud customer, which is basically it's a rented machine that you put in your data center, and it's a pay as you go. And I think it was with you I was telling yesterday that Oracle is they need to go back to being innovators instead of copying what other companies are doing or following what how it's going to keep the stock price up. Because this cloud customer, they should just call it something, not cloud. They should just say, we have a consumption-based licensing model, and we're putting this in your data center. That would be much more, new thinking. Instead of just they were asleep at the wheel for 5 years about the cloud, and then suddenly they just changed their website and saying Oracle is a cloud company. It doesn't really work like that. It used to be a time where companies were following in Oracle's footsteps because they were leading in technology. Oracle's just following in the footsteps of everybody else now, Amazon, Microsoft. So this cloud customer it can be a really good solution for companies, which is because it's basically you rent a server, put it in your own data center. It's from Oracle. Oracle's managing the server. But you pay as you go, and it's all the options included. For example, you don't have a compliance risk on it. You can't really use different database options and be non-compliant for that. The only difference is if you would use some on the cloud customer and then you move it to an on-premise machine, then you can become non-compliant. The big thing here is that you have to commit to 5 years. Really, is the business case we're seeing from Oracle all the time.
Yeah. Just a quick comment. All while Oracle was asleep at the wheel and not really catching the cloud bus. While that was happening, Larry was a big investor in Salesforce, or heavily involved in Salesforce and NetSuite, and it wasn't like he wasn't out there investing his personal fortune into these cloud opportunities. So I'm sure he's been making some decisions on behalf of Oracle that is purely driven on his own value of the stocks, right?
Yeah. But I think I mentioned that to you. Even when Oracle was starting up as a new company, Larry was talking about his database machine. So he's been having this dream about building, having the software and also having the hardware. So when Oracle acquired Sun, they started to invest a lot of research and engineering into Spark and all the hardware they got from the Sun acquisition. And that was sort of, chasing Larry's dream of building a engineered system. But the whole market actually went the other way. When the whole market or the whole world went into cloud, Oracle went into, hey, red stack, red engineered system, and then Oracle have sort of changed their tune completely. If you look at the open world from 2014, Oracle is barely mentioning cloud. It's all about Spark and new memory and new flash drives, engineered systems. But in 2015, it's all cloud. And I don't think they even talk about the hardware anymore in the open world. So it's quite, Oracle really made a poor business decision. And they keep on doing that, is my take, unfortunately. So what is this cloud customer? What's the business case? So this is what we're seeing Oracle is doing, is that if you're paying annual support, so Oracle is not going to new customers who don't have any Oracle and selling their cloud customer. They are looking at your support bill. Let's assume that you today pay annual support 5 million euros. And over 5 years, you would pay 25 million euros. And why? Often because you're unable to terminate unused licenses. So estimately, 30% of your Oracle estate, if Oracle would change its support policies, you would probably be able to terminate at least 30% of your licenses. But Oracle is, and that's sort of that feeling, and you probably know it as well, that feeling is feeling, hey, we're overpaying to Oracle. And also many of these contracts were signed 10, 15, 20 years ago, and the support costs are huge. And if you're going to Oracle and say, we would like to reduce our support, what Oracle is then proposing is this clouded customer. They are then simply building a business case where they're comparing what you're going to pay to them over 5 years, and then they're comparing this business case. This is what if for renting a server, for the cloud services, for the implementation, and then they're presenting sort of a fantasy business case for you how you can make savings.
So, Fredrik, is this basically just Oracle's ways of going around their own support policies? What's going on here?
Yeah, but it's for me it's I think it's stupid. It's crazy. What they should be telling companies like, hey, we're going to change our support policy, so you only have to pay for what you're actually using. Oh. Instead, they're saying, yeah, because we have this support policy here, and we can't allow you to terminate licenses that you no longer need. They are saying, hey, but this is the solution for you, dear customer. So Oracle is not, they are not. I think it's a false choice, right? It's not really giving the companies the choice to choose this clouded customer. They're basically, hey, you're going to pay this to us for 25 years. This is your solution. I just think it is.
They're basically selling the same technology one more time.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what companies are paying to Amazon, but if you're paying 10 million euros to Amazon, I don't think Amazon is saying, hey, dear company A, we have just released a new Amazon cloud machine. Buy it, and you're going to pay us, millions less. I think it's Oracle is not adding more value. They're just sort of trying to sell their solutions again. So if you're considering cloud a customer, because it can actually be a good solution for some companies, I do recommend that you review your licensing to understand what is being utilized. So because it can impact sort of the business case for what you for if cloud a customer is actually viable. And the same way, if you're going to move to software as a service as well, you should be reviewing your licenses to make sure that you're getting the right cloud services. It's very important to review the business case as well as the technical feasibility before doing the move. And review the cloud contract. So I'm no expert at Microsoft, but I'm sure we have Microsoft experts here. But sort of what I'm hearing in the virtual coffees is that once you've signed the first contract, the vendor is not at all willing to give you any discounts on any renewals. So you need to be very careful to review the contract terms, make sure that you have price protections, because Oracle might talk about cloud, but this is basically, it is not pay-as-you-go. You cannot decrease the number of users or the number of databases after next month or next year. You're basically locking yourself into a 5-year agreement. And so we are noticing that ourselves, Morten, when we are using different cloud tools for companies. Yes, you can actually downgrade, and that is cloud, because you don't need it. We can terminate 5 users next month. But with Oracle Cloud, it does not work.
No. And it's also important to say that with Oracle Cloud, so yes, the way they treat it, your second renewal is basically how Oracle is treating their support stream. As Fredrik said, it's going to be very difficult for you to make any changes to your support stream or your cloud renewal. The only thing that's going to happen is that the cost of services are going to go up.
Yeah. And there's something else. You have to really implement a cost management function at the end, because if you, let's say you're moving to something, you have to make sure what is actually included in the clouded customer. For example, there's a limited storage in the clouded customer. So there's because it's a standard server, and a lot of the value of the clouded customer is that everything is standardized. But it has a limit to the storage, and if you need more storage than that, then it can actually be filled in this clouded customer. You have to buy another clouded customer, and then basically the price is doubling. So you have to really make sure that are you actually getting everything you need. Do you have a lot of large databases, for example? Then the clouded customer might not be the case for you. And what is actually included is very important to look at, because there's a lot of hidden costs when it comes to cloud. So we want to talk about, there's a contract language that is making it easier for companies that have Oracle on-premise applications, and they want to take that to Oracle Software as a Service. And it sort of allows you, we might as well start with the transition period. If you signed an Oracle Cloud agreement, you will then, could be actually more than 12 months. What Oracle is saying that if you sign the cloud agreement in June, you don't have to pay on-premise support for your on-premise licenses for your Oracle applications. So they are granting you more or less a 1 year, or it could be 2 or 3 years, depending on how well you negotiate this, where you don't have to pay any money for on-premise support. But you must have signed the cloud agreement, though. So you must have started Oracle Cloud Services. And this can sort of help the business case, and I think let's give Oracle credit for doing this. Obviously, they can do a lot more, but we think it's a good move. It also allows the company not, if you're moving to, let's say that in 12 months they're moving to cloud, or they might be delayed. If they're delayed, you can just keep on, then you have to pay for the support as normal, and you pay that basically per quarter. But if you are running in the cloud for 3 to 4 years, and then you go back, now we want to go back to our on-premise, you can just then use the shelved licenses and go back to on-premise as it was, and there's no penalty fees involved in this. But not every customer is being offered this, so you just have to, if you're considering Oracle Cloud, this is something you should be asking from your account rep to make the business case better, because there's a lot of, usually companies are stuck with just paying the on-premise environment for another 1 or 2 years, as well as the cloud. So there's going to be a sort of a double cost for the first or 2 years. but at least this is sort of going to help you partly reducing those costs. There's no second chance. So once you've signed the Oracle SaaS or Oracle Cloud agreements, you cannot get the money back. It's non-refundable and non-cancelable. So it's really important that you spend your time understanding what you have today on premise, what is actually that you're going to need in the Oracle Cloud or Cloud Customer, and really paying attention to your cloud agreement. It's usually these cloud moves are worth more in money than the ULAs. And we often say the ULAs, you have to really pay attention to negotiating that. This is even more important. So there's a question here. Do you have to pay the gap support if you reactivate? No, you don't have to pay the gap support if you reactivate. So it's a good move. So just some trends and analysis that we sort of been thinking about for some time. So Oracle has been giving away some of the previously price. You have to pay licenses for these. So Spatial is now free of charge. Advanced Analytics is now free of charge. NoSQL is now included in Enterprise Edition. And for us, we're thinking, these are probably products, or we know these are products that Oracle is not selling a lot of. So Oracle's probably been thinking, hey, they're probably looking at what is the revenue worldwide for these products. And then they're probably thinking we might as well just include them for free in the Enterprise Edition database. Who knows, there might be coming more changes like this in the future when it comes to Oracle software. I think diagnostic and tuning would be great to have free. Everybody wants that included in the Enterprise Edition database. But I think if Oracle would sell a lot of these options, they would never make this move. Java SE is not a priority for Oracle. It might be I know Morten, we had a conversation about this, but simply it is not a priority because they don't have salespeople for it.
Yeah. So one of my comments to that is that so clearly Oracle has been going through or making a lot of changes to Java, how it's structured in terms of the distributions coming out, what is on a 6-month basis instead of every 3 to 5 years. And they've changed the commercial models and all that. And there's been a big uptake in Java. But again, and I think from Frederick's point of view, it's just very important to put it into perspective. Java is a small business in the overall picture here. So yeah, the sales teams for Java might have doubled, but that's not big. It's not a real impact.
No, because I think if Oracle have, let's say they have 20,000 sales reps worldwide, it's less than 100 that's doing Java, and Oracle is not prioritizing it. It's simply because it's not going to keep the stock price up. If Oracle talks about autonomous cloud and cloud, that's probably going to please the analyst, but it's probably not what the customers want. And it's the same thing where Oracle are continuously buying their own share. So I think for the last 12 months, they bought for $19 billion of their own shares. And stock buybacks is basically financial engineering to keep up the stock price. Yeah. So another trend in Oracle licensing is that we see it didn't exist before, but it's becoming much more where you have to look at what version of the database you have, and it might be differences in how you license it, sort of multi-tenant, for example, standard edition 2 as well. And what we also see is Oracle is focusing on smaller audits on customers running standard edition and standard edition 1. So if you have standard edition or standard edition 2, what you should be doing is considering, first you should review the licensing, but also consider moving those to standard edition 2. So that's it for today.
Yeah.
There's so much in the chat here, so I'm not. It's very difficult to see if there's any questions. But here, there's a question from Sanjeev. To summarize how I understood what you just said, Oracle have taken away the ability to resolve non-compliance with cloud offer. Yes. All license audits now will be resolved by on-premise licenses. I will be shocked if there's any other way. Someone is seeing an increase in audits. So there's an audit increase in smaller companies, but we don't see a large increase in audits. And we have a very good source who works at Oracle LMS in Romania, and they are telling us that there's no increased activity from Oracle LMS in Romania. So with that, thank you everybody for listening. I hope it was useful. If you would like to have the presentation, just send me a message here on LinkedIn. I'll share it with you there. Have a great day.
Thank you.